It's me, John Lorden. Welcome to Case Cracked for today, Tuesday, January 16th, 2018. Thank you so much for joining me here today. I've been listening to your feedback. Today we're trying a different background. I didn't think about the white being too bright, but certainly many of you talked about that. So thank you so much for your feedback on this. Hope this new one works a little bit better. If it doesn't, let me know about it in the comments. We'll try another one next week. For today's case, we got something really interesting. Did God move a man to confess to a television station about a murder that he had committed? Before we jump into today's case, I want to thank Brain Scratcher Craig for letting me know about this one. I always appreciate the help with episodes of Case Cracked, so thank you so much, Craig. Here we go. May 1993, Redding in Northern California. Frank Wesley McAlister was a 19-year-old who had recently been in a car accident. He received an insurance settlement of $4,500, borrowed his girlfriend's car, a Dodge Shadow, and disappeared. Frank's girlfriend reported him and her car missing on May 7th. Later that same day, authorities found her car abandoned in a Costco parking lot. On and in the car, they found a significant amount of blood. Investigators were certain they were dealing with a foul play scenario. They worked the case, but outside of finding 3 people that Frank met up with that day, they were unable to learn much more about what had happened. The 3 people said that Frank simply dropped them off at a park in Redding. Frank's father, Doug McAlister, would spend time searching through brush and woods looking for his son. Quote, "This is just driving me nuts," he said in a 1993 interview. Doug suspected that the 3 people Frank was with that day were likely involved in what happened to him. Frank's skeletal remains were eventually found April 13th, 1994, by a hiker in Shingletown, a small logging town of about 2,000 residents. The remains were found in the woods near Grace and Nora Lakes, just a few miles east of Redding. It would take nearly 25 years for the truth to finally come out. And it came out to a television station, reportedly due to a man's newfound faith. A news station called KRCR got a call from a man who said he couldn't live with the truth any longer and he needed to confess. His name was Brian Keith Hawkins. KRCR said that they would record his statement, but not air it until after he spoke to the authorities and they could confirm what he was saying was actually true. KRCR recorded the interview with Hawkins, in which he would not discuss details of what he had done, but instead, he wanted to praise God for leading him to confess. He said, quote, "Almost every minute of every day has been a nightmare. Frank never got to have a life, and either did I. We were teenagers, and now I'm 44 and haven't still even had a life, and now most likely won't anyway." When they asked him why he was confessing now, he stated, "I've been through hell my whole life because of this. I know the wrong can't be changed, but this is the closest I can come to doing the right thing." On January 9th, 2018, right after his interview with KRCR, Brian Hawkins went down the road to the Shasta County Sheriff's Office to confess. He told investigators that he and 2 others were responsible, though he didn't specifically know Frank beforehand, but the other 2 involved did. They lured Frank to Shingletown and had killed him specifically for his insurance settlement. Now, I have seen in a couple of articles, they're saying that they lured Frank there under the premise of a drug deal, that Frank was supposedly buying drugs using his insurance settlement. He was going to sell those drugs and try to make even more money. But keep in mind where this information's coming from, so I don't know if we hold a whole lot of stock in that. But according to them, that's how they lured him out to this area. The 2 others involved were Curtis Culver and his sister Shayna, who was dating Hawkins at the time. Hawkins said that it was him and Curtis that stabbed Frank to death. After the murder, the trio then dumped his body in the woods. They fled with Frank's money and his girlfriend's car to Redding, leaving it in the Costco parking lot where it would later be found. Investigators say that information from Hawkins matched evidence that had been discovered during the initial investigation. He also has a varied criminal history with charges ranging from drunken driving to burglary and corporal injury to a spouse. They have also arrested the Culver siblings, each with criminal records of their own, who apparently also made incriminating statements after their arrests. Shayna was also previously involved in a traffic collision in 2002 where she struck and killed a man that she said was standing in the road. No charges were filed on that when police determined that she had not been drinking. All three of them had been initially questioned back in 1993 when it was discovered that they were the last to see Frank. But at that time, they denied any involvement, and authorities didn't have sufficient proof to pursue the lead. Hawkins and Curtis Culver have been charged with murder and robbery. They are being held without bail due to this potentially being a death penalty case, and they will appear in court on January 23rd for a preliminary hearing. Online records indicate Shayna Culver was booked into Shasta County Jail and is being held on suspicion of murder, but because she was a minor at the time of the alleged crime, details about her case are being kept private. It's being reported that one of the Culver siblings has also since confessed, but the authorities won't publicly state which one. Curtis Culver also claims that Brian Hawkins is the only person that stabbed Frank McAlister. Brian Hawkins said the guilt was eating at him so badly that he actually reached out to the McAlister family on several occasions over the past year. He intended to go to meet with them and to confess to Frank's father, Doug. But when he finally got there, it was too late. Doug McAlister would never know that his suspicions were indeed correct and would never hear the confession from Brian. Doug McAlister died in October of 2017. Frank's mother, however, is still alive, now 81 years old. Reading Police Captain Eric Wallace contacted her and reports that the arrests have brought her some relief. Frank was their only son. Case cracked. As they're preparing for the trial, investigators are still looking for information that might strengthen their cases. Anyone with info regarding the McAlister homicide is asked to contact Captain Eric Wallace with the Reading Police Department at 530-225-4200. I will have that information also in the description box below. And down there, you will also find a link to the now televised confession made to KRCR by Brian Hawkins. It's pretty interesting. Watching the footage actually hit me in a bit of a different way than I thought it would. Knowing what this man had done, I didn't feel like I was going to have a lot of remorse for him. But when you see how hurt he seems to be and how affected he is through his confession to the news channel, it kind of makes you think twice about it a little bit. And also when you consider the fact that he didn't confess because they were close to finding him or he knew that charges were coming or there was some, pending thing that was going to happen to him. He confessed because his humanity and his spirituality kind of finally caught up with him, which is a really interesting aspect to this. I wish that we would hear about that happen more often in cases, but quite typically with these confession cases, it's usually either a friend that they told in jail or they were already being heavily looked at. There was evidence mounting, and they were confessing to try to get some type of lighter punishment when it comes to the court system. So I'll be kind of interested to see what happens with Brian through this whole process. And then, of course, the Culver siblings that he has pulled into this. Shayna is currently saying, she's sticking to the story, that basically Frank just dropped them off at a park, which kind of reminds me of another case that we talked about last week, which is that of Blaise Bernstein, 19 years old, just like Frank. His friend says that he dropped him off at a park, just like this case here. I just wanted to give you guys a quick update on that case. I don't have quite enough for a full video on it, but his high school friend, we now know the name of, it is Sam Woodward, and he has been arrested. Investigators are saying that they have found a DNA link between Woodward and the murder of Blaise. So if I get a bigger update on that, I will definitely make a separate video, but I just wanted to let you all know, and especially because today's case just kind of draws so many parallels to that of Blaise's case, it just kind of struck me. So Thank you guys so much for spending some time with me here on Case Cracked. Do you have some thoughts about this confession? Do you maybe want to check it out for yourself? Come back to the comments and let me know what you think about it. I'm really curious to see what you guys think. I don't know. It kind of hit me in a way that I didn't expect, and I think that might happen for some of you too. So please let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you back here tomorrow on the Lord and Arts channel.